In a battle, there's always a winner and a loser. And unfortunately, this time around, we have lost the holy war against Netflix. Netflix recently put the kibosh on password sharing in a move that I thought would be the downfall of the platform since everyone in the world shares a Netflix account with many people. I thought this would just have the entire streaming service circling the drain, but I couldn't have been more wrong. My prediction was more incorrect than the people that thought the world was ending in 2012, because according to the latest data published this week by an analytics firm called Antenna, they've reported that Netflix has seen the biggest spike in subscriber signups since they started tracking that data in 2019. When I first read that report, I legitimately did a Mr. Beast thumbnail of like actual shock, because I was completely convinced that once people were kicked off their Netflix accounts that they were sharing with so many others, they wouldn't pay to sign up again and just shell out big clams for a service that has such a weak catalog. Like, what the fuck is there to even watch on Netflix? Unless you're a huge fan of the Hype House, or Tall Girl 1 and 2 of the Tall Girl cinematic universe, or God help you, Big Mouth. If you watch Big Mouth, consider this an intervention. You need professional help. That show is criminally awful. Like, I just didn't see a reason why people would, fork over big doubloons to re-sign up to Netflix when there's really nothing worth watching on there right now. Aside from the 1 or 2 times a year where they actually do have something good on their platform, like Stranger Things, for example. But that doesn't come around often. That's like a winter solstice, right? Like, you don't need to have Netflix year-round just to watch those 2 decent productions that they introduce. So I was just very surprised that so many people signed up again after getting kicked off. In fact, to go a bit deeper, who remembers the hit series Resident Evil on Netflix, the original production that was an insulting mess to the actual franchise that it was borrowing from? Well, I think that the way that show talks about Umbrella Corporation is really apt for Netflix itself. But instead of Umbrella Corporation creating the T-virus, Netflix is creating the P-virus, because all of their shows are P. Actual fucking urine quality productions that are infecting the viewers into thinking that they need to be paying for the service. You don't. Let me be the light in the darkness here. You don't have to be paying fucking $8, $15, or $20 a month for Netflix now that you've been kicked off of the account that you've been sharing with for the last decade. You got spit in your face from Netflix. You don't have to wipe it off and say, thank you, can I have some more? Out of every major streaming service, aside from jokes like Peacock, Netflix has perhaps the weakest catalog. You do not have to be paying $8, $15, or $20 a month in order to have access to a fucking snooze fest on Netflix. You don't. But we have lost this war. This clearly was a very successful move from Netflix. This worked out extremely well for them. Password sharing on Netflix was more common than the cold, so I just really was under the impression that when you take that away, I think the number was 100 million accounts were password sharing. So when you kick off that many people, I just did not expect such a large percentage of them to come back, like, all happy, and especially not this quickly. Like, they got kicked off and then lickety-split signed up immediately again. So it really worked out for them, but I wish that it didn't, because they've for so long encouraged password sharing, and I really don't like the way that they're going about the crackdown on password sharing. There's definitely better ways that aren't as costly to families that have multiple people across multiple households. You don't have to charge fucking per person, and it's extremely strict on exactly how it all works. I've gone over the specifics of it in a couple of videos before, so I'm not just going to keep repeating myself. I'm just surprised. Like, I'm just out here befuddled at how successful this has been for Netflix. Now, I would like to mention that they have received a lot of cancellations as well. They've seen an increase in cancellations, but the new signups are outpacing those by a wide margin. Netflix received nearly 100,000 daily signups on May 26th and May 27th already, and it's just absolutely popping off for their bottom line right now. So it always sucks to lose, but unfortunately, you just gotta be humble even in defeat. Sometimes you just take a bite of that BLT sandwich. Hold the B and T, it's just a fucking L sandwich. And that's one of those cases here. I do think that this is also going to be wildly detrimental for every other streaming service, because on every streaming service, most people are sharing passwords. Spoiler alert. everyone is sharing passwords when possible. And now that the Netflix crackdown has been extremely financially successful for the company, I do envision very soon there will be crackdowns on every other platform as well. So, password sharing might be a thing of the past. I feel like it's going to be outlawed across the board on streaming services, and that fucking sucks. All I can really hope for now is that the way that the other streaming platforms crack down on password sharing isn't as strict as Netflix. Hopefully, there's some wiggle room for families to actually be able to share passwords to some degree, as opposed to charging so much money for a big family or a family that's across multiple households. So, that's something we just have to wait and see on, but I do think that's coming, so just put that on your calendar, mark it down for the near future. Rest in peace, password sharing, and yeah, that's about it. See ya.